Hey everyone, welcome to the CGarchitect Podcast. It's our first episode of 2025 and we're kicking things off with someone whose name you've probably heard and seen attached to some of the most striking architectural images out there. Our guest today is András Káldos, CEO of Brick Visual, a studio that's become a major reference point in the archviz industry. But András isn't just the guy at the top. He's been hands-on since day one, growing Brick from scratch into a team of over 90 professionals, all while staying active as a senior artist. He brings a unique mix of experience: architecture, tech, education, and even fractals. And in this episode, we dive into how Brick evolved, how you scale a creative studio without losing its identity, and the unexpected ways international politics can ripple into our feud. And I'd like to start by thanking you for being here with us on the first episode of the CGarchitect Podcast in 2025, this season, 2025. I'm really happy to have you here and to start things with you, honestly.
Thanks for the invitation. I really appreciate, and it's a really good opportunity. And I like to talk usually, so it's for me it's always fun to do this. Maybe I'm boring, but who cares?
The important thing is you have fun, right? Like if you have fun, that's good.
Yes.
Right? Yeah, but
it's like bad musicians that they are playing and they having fun, but nobody else.
Yeah, and the bad musicians are usually the ones who perform the most, right? They're always performing at some extent. But so like I'm pretty happy with us having this chat because when we met in Poland last year during the World Visualization Festival, we had a pretty nice conversation. We had never met, right, in person, and then we just clicked and we started talking about many things like health issues, for example, right? And then we were on a panel together.
It was a competition who is older and who is more unhealthy.
Yeah. Kids, don't do that at home. Really, don't take that as an example. But still, like it was a pretty nice conversation, and I was like, okay, next season I'm going to start with András, and that's why I asked you on the last day, right? We were on that venue. I don't remember the name of the place with a lot of food trucks and stuff. And you remember I invited you because I was like, dude, this is a guy I can talk for hours, really. And I think it's always fun when people listen to a podcast where people are having fun while talking to each other. So
just stop me if I'm talking too much or too long.
Don't worry. So we usually start, for those who don't know us, right? Don't know me, don't know you. We start by introducing ourselves. So I'd like you to introduce yourself.
Okay, in a formal way or an informal way? So
anyway, you want.
My name is András, the CEO and one of the founders of Brick Visual. I'm a failed architect. Originally,
aren't we all?
That's a good introduction. All of us. Most of us are failed architects, including me. So I have an architecture degree, and I'm still trying to consider myself as an architect, and I'm still into experimental architecture, but quite quickly I realized that it's maybe a wrong path for me, or it's too much to fight there to reach a certain point. And I really had fun with visualization. I did lots of architecture competitions with different architect offices in Hungary, and then I lived for a while in London and in Paris as well. And after that, 12 years ago, I established Brick with three guys, and basically from that point till now, I was leading Brick as a CEO, working actively in the production for quite a while. For in the first 7, 8 years, I was still active in the production, doing images. I'm not saying nice images, but images. uh, but of course, after that, we grew so much that I had to really just focus on CEOing this company and really leading the team. Yeah, I put lots of energy in this. It's like all all the time when you go to a brick website, you see that beautiful images, and that's the only thing what the people judge you on that. But the energy what I put in brick was, let's say, the majority was on the business side to make brick as successful as possible as a business, and that's my goal, still my goal. So I think that's really important, and that's usually invisible or not that visible on from a website. Yeah, what else? Family, uh, wife, 2 kids, happily married,
Good. For how
semi-healthy.
long? How long have you been married?
You got me now. No, I'm married. No, I'm married from 2009. So you
2009.
can make the calculation.
16 years?
Yeah, yeah,
Good,
yeah.
good.
High school sweetheart. You know the story.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's sweet. I met my wife during college when I was studying
Oh, okay.
architecture.
That's
I
that's
was
also.
19 years old. Now
Oh,
I'm
okay.
almost
That's
50.
yeah. See, a little bit similar. I think I was 16 or 15 when I met my wife.
Oh, that's so
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Awesome. Now, let me ask you something. You mentioned that you're a failed architect, as we all are. And why exactly did you get interested in visualization? Because I remember when I was in college, and I was in college in 1995, right? Quite a long time ago. 3D was not actually a thing, and it took me a while to be interested in that. And I understand that at some point I was like, okay, this is probably cooler in a way than worrying about design and construction sites and stuff like that. What got you interested in visualization?
I think it's a interesting story for me because yeah, I'm making this joke that I'm a failed architect and I switched from architecture to this, but actually not. It's just packaging, which is funny to sell like this. But actually, I have this. In a way, it's a nice story because when I was like really a child, like I would say 12, 13 years old, uh, I was already like drawing stuff. Why? Because I don't know. I was interesting. My father uh, was like, I don't know why he was like drawing, like knowing some stuff about drawing. Maybe because of my grandfather. So I started to draw stuff like perspective stuff, architecture stuff, still life, Apple and some stuff around, and just doing drawing. I don't know. I was interested in that as a kid, and and additionally, even when I was a smaller kid, it was 1990 when my father got a PS2 IBM computer, which was a big thing because don't forget, this is not Western Europe. This is at that time, it was right after the Soviets, the Russians went out from Hungary, so it was not a common thing that somebody has a PC, especially a PS2 IBM. It's a big thing. It was, by the way, that computer is still here in Brick and it's working.
Really? That's so
uh,
cool.
yeah, so I was obviously started to do stuff in it on DOS, and I was really into computers. at that time, and it was a unique stuff because like in 1990 in Hungary, it's nobody had computers, so it was a unique thing. And then later on, um, actually one of my friends, who is by the way now the CFO of Brick, showed me a really good cool 3D-ish software called 3D Studio. At that time, it was not Max, it was 3D Studio, and it was on DOS, so not even in Windows. And these two things came together that, oh, I'm into gaming and PC and everything, and doing computer stuff, and interested in that. And in a quite early phase on 3D Studio DOS version, I started to play around with making different objects. And in the meantime, I was drawing. And then, of course, time passed, and what should I do? And architecture was an obvious choice. And basically, all the way, it was this history was behind me constantly. So when I actually went to the university, by that time, I already had a couple of commission jobs in visualization. So it was not like that during the university I started to get interest in this, or after the university. It was actually before the university. I was, was in this drawing school preparing for the university, making act drawings and this kind of things. And there was an interior designer guy there who had some, interior designs. And then we started to discuss, and I did some visualization for him. And it was before the university. So actually, this whole history started super early. And in a way, I was always knew that I will do something like this. So yeah, that's probably give me a big advantage, because by the time I finished the university, I already was like almost full-time working, freelancing, doing stuff for architects. It gave me a 5 years, like ahead of my fellow
Yeah, yeah, totally.
classmates.
Now, out of curiosity, you mentioned that you got your first computer in 1990 after the Soviet Union left Hungary, right? Uh, do you think that 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 historical fact, had any influence on the architectural market in Hungary? Like, do you think it started a new market after the Soviet Union left, or was there already a market there? How was it, or what was the influence of that? The whole perestroika thing that happened back then.
Hmm. I don't know, because at that time I was still a kid, so I know. Hard to
Yeah,
say.
what a stupid question, right? Like, oh, what are you talking about? I was 5. Like,
Yeah, kind of like that. How was the architecture market at that time? No idea.
oh, come on, you were drawing like that nature, still nature things when you were 7. Come on, like, it's not that far fetched.
Yeah, I already at that time have a super sophisticated opinion about the architecture, Hungarian architecture market when I was 7 years old. Almost no, but in general, what I can see that obviously, being like living in a, let's say, post-Soviet country, same situation what happened in Romania, it's definitely have a impact on everything. And Hungary was a quite successful country at that time in 1990 when we came out from this. Actually, it was number one successful in this mid Eastern European region. We were overpassing everyone basically in the first 10 years, so till 2000. So it was a really good situation for Hungary. After that, we obviously fucked up everything, but till that point, it was like a super, like hopeful situation. Lots of investors, Western European brands came in, and it was like a land opportunities market. And actually, you know, it is in a way still it is, and there is a reason why we are Hungary and why we are successful in from Hungary. There are a couple of things. One of them that I think it's a little bit like mentality. So probably other Hungarians who are quite successful in this and other companies. Like why? Because it's a small country. It's we are under 10 million people, like nine point something. It's a small country, and why we have that many successful artists. We don't have education. We don't have schools. The architecture schools are terrible. They don't teaching anything about archviz or anything like even close to archviz, like how you can do illustration in computer as an architect. Not even that. So why we have that? I think one of the reasons is that the whole era of coming out and being like a Western European country from Russia to from Eastern Europe to there, it was like like an urge to really do computer stuff, download whatever software you can download legally, and try whatever you can. And of course we also didn't have the culture to at the beginning to use legal softwares as as a kid or during the university. It was a completely standard stuff that you have everything pirated. Even the teachers had pirated softwares, and we could try everything. And it was part of the we living in East, so we will do it. We can do it. And because of that, I think lots of people in the architecture school went to this direction because it was a good option, especially that we could see that okay, you can make an impact with this, with a cool visualization, and you could see in the internet that you can do the same. In the meantime, as a Hungarian architecture student, working with a architect studio in Copenhagen was a mission impossible from at that point from my perspective. So it was kind of closer to that, which is like, oh, this is like something and it's comparable and I can do it, and we know how to do it. So definitely it had an impact on me as well. And if you look at Brick, it's a little bit the same story, because we established Brick after this global economic crisis in 2000, starting from 2008-9, and by the time I'm in 2012 when we established Brick, the market was still coming back, but it was not really good. There was the at that time still the cost of Hungary, the living cost, everything was much lower than the Western European countries. So but it was Budapest was enough good that even right now there are people from Germany coming here and working here because Budapest is a good enough Western European city in Eastern Europe. But the cost levels are still, more reasonable a little bit. Not anymore; it's shrinking, but it's still there. But when we started, it was, and obviously, if you connect these two dots, when we established Brick and we could bring in projects, it was quite easy to recruit some good, talented Hungarian people from Budapest because of this history that I told you.
Very interesting. Very, very interesting. Now, one question: you started as a freelancer, right?
Yeah.
And why did you feel the need to start a company?
In short, because my wife became pregnant. But really,
we had bills to pay, so
it's a little bit complicated, but that's the reason. I think I worked for a year in a startup company, which was an interesting thing in 2011, called Real 5D. It was a typical Hungarian startup, doing this real-time walkthroughs kind of stuff. It was an interesting stuff, and then one is more or less failed. And that was the moment when, we said, oh, okay, the crisis is still here. I don't want to continue freelancing because I'm burning out in it. It's this, crazy competitions with architects when you go and work 48 hours in a row to finish the competition. And not just the pictures, I was part of the design team as well. And then another competition, 1 week from the other one, another working 3 days in a row. So it was like a really, I was like burning out from that. So I had to make a decision, and then I made a decision that okay, we are freshly married, more or less. We lived for a little bit in abroad, and then I said that okay, we can move out from Hungary. The Hungarian market is not really good. I want to get a job in a architecture visualization studio or in an architect studio. And I did that. I applied, and actually I was interviewed with a couple of studios, and I think I was in the final round with one of the well-known studios. I won't say the name. And I said, okay, I'm going to London for a face-to-face interview. I have good chances. I had a good portfolio. And then my wife said that, yeah, but I'm I'm pregnant. So what's the plan
just
now?
one thing that you probably should know before going there. Like,
And yeah, actually, we were discussing that. Why not? Okay, we can go out like that. But at the end, we decided to stay. And I said, I don't want to go freelancing. And that's why, I kind of decided to brick. It was good timing because also this startup company kind of failing. So it was a good switch. And yeah, it turned out well. So it was a good decision at that time.
yeah, it did turn out well. We can all
Yeah.
tell that. Now, how was the beginning of Brick? Like, okay, we started a company, and we have this probably a small office with 2 or 3 computers. How was the start of the company?
I think it was a big amount of ridiculous naivety, a huge amount of luck involved in that. What we were not aware of that time that we are lucky, um, and obviously a couple of other given things that I had a pretty good portfolio. Also, my fellow other friend also had a good portfolio, so we could put together a quite decent portfolio from earlier works and use it and market like Brick as a known international architecture visualization studio. And I think we made a couple of decisions, again, naive decisions, but it was good decisions. Just we didn't know how good are they at that time. Were there at that time. So we started to work with a couple of sales agents, which was really weird stuff because still not a standard stuff that archviz companies working with sales agents and paying commission. But we had this intention that we want to do uh, international projects because I exactly know the reality of the Hungarian market. And I didn't want to play this opportunistic game that, okay, this is falling in my lap, I'm doing it, because the reality that, of course, the budgets are limited, architects are struggling, the usual stuff, what's, the reality of Eastern European country and what kind of budgets you can work with and quality of the architecture also. So it was an intention immediately that, okay, with this portfolio, we try to get projects from outside of Hungary. And we quite quickly managed it with these sales agents. It was a good match. So, for example, the Norwegian market for us was a big hit at the beginning, a really good decision because um, uh, don't forget, it was 2012. So at that time, For example, the Norwegian market was flourishing with these residential projects. It was really good market, and in the meantime, there was like a bunch of freelancers, local freelancers, and Mir as a as a as a quite expensive option. And then we came in the picture. Of course, we were far away from the quality of Mir, but we had energy and naive enthusiasm. Uh, and it was a good match because we had this local Norwegian agent who was just doing this with all the developers, like
It's going full Rambo on the market, like.
yeah, like here's another one, and it's cheap, and it's from Eastern Europe. But at that time it worked, obviously, because uh, and then just because of that, projects started to came in, and we catch some good ones with some good architects as well. We did the same in the USA. So one of our first um, projects in the USA was actually in Manhattan, in next to the Freedom Tower. Uh, I think is the third building, World Trade Center, new building, and we did some office interiors. And just imagine, before it, I was working on like this shitty residential project near Budapest, and then the second day I doing an office visualization in the World Trade Center. So that's a cool stuff, and obviously we were lucky, and obviously we were like, oh, this is easy. This is easy.
We can do it, right?
It's gonna be like this all the time. No, not really.
Yeah, big mistake. Big mistake. Although some people say that it's going to be like that all the time, but it's not. We know it's not true. It's simply not true, unfortunately.
Especially nowadays with the tariffs, it's not gonna.
It is. It is. Now, how big is Brick nowadays?
It's around 100 people.
100 people.
100 people
in Budapest only.
No, we have let's say 70 people here in Budapest. That's still the headquarter. We have a team in Cluj-Napoca, a small team in Porto, and a really small team in Verona. And then you can ask the question, why we have those teams? Is it like because of the local market? Not really. We started to recruit people in Budapest. We started to recruit people international, so not just local Hungarians, obviously, because we ran out of artists here in Budapest, Hungarian artists. So we started to recruit, and it was like kind of a natural process that, okay, some people didn't want to continue to live in Budapest, Hungary, because they are not from Hungary, and not everyone is 100% happy with living forever in Budapest, but they didn't want to quit from Brick. And that's how we ended up opening a small production studio in Romania, Cluj-Napoca. That's how we ended up opening a small office in Verona. And partly Porto is a little bit similar story. So, and that's why we had those production units there outside of Budapest. Nothing to do with the market or anything like that.
How does it work, like cost-wise? Because you have 4 different countries, which means you have 4 different costs, right? I would say I would
more or less, yeah.
understand that maybe Porto is a little more expensive than Verona, for example, and so on. How does it work in the end of the day, right? Like, does the math close properly, or do you still like some of them struggle regarding cost, of course?
Definitely. If you think about Porto, Cluj-Napoca, Verona, it's not the most fancy, obvious cities what you can imagine. That if Brick goes to, I don't know, to Western Europe, why we are not opening an office in London, or why we are not
Paris, or
costs. Really simple. And obviously Porto is more expensive than Hungary. Obviously Verona is more expensive than Hungary. but obviously it's not that expensive if you would bring it to Milano, for example, or instead of Porto, you would take it to Barcelona. So we try to be really smart with the choices and try to keep, still the cost reasonable, because that's how, it's part of the business historically in brick, that one of our still competitive tool is a little bit reduce costs. Uh, uh, is it gives us better prices? Maybe yes, maybe no. I would translate it that maybe we can, and that's what we did, invest a little bit more in R&D, invest a little bit more in sales, invest certain stuff, and we spend more money in that because, what we're saving there, we can use it for something else. Obviously, Cluj-Napoca is on a similar price level as in Budapest. Um, so we try to be clever, but it's true, it's more expensive and it makes brick a little bit more expensive overall. But we are also aware that at the end of the day, uh, we shouldn't build a long-term business uh, plan for this advantage, because it's a bad plan, because like you always have to, I don't know, move east. But unfortunately, lots of people think that earth is fair, it's not flat, therefore it's uh, if you go all the time to east, then at the end of the day
You'll
you're
be
ending up.
back home. Yeah.
So, so my logic that actually this cost advantage, is slowly disappearing, and it is disappearing because Hungary is becoming even more expensive, especially in Budapest. Last year we had 15% inflation rate in Hungary.
15.
15%, not 50, 15, but it's
15.
one
Oof.
five.
I mean,
But
it's
but
still
it's
a lot, but I was like, oh,
uh,
god damn it.
okay, that would be really bad, but but 15 is more than enough. I can tell you, like, even compensate for that, it's quite challenging, obviously. So yeah.
And do you think that having international studios like you guys have, uh, does it have an impact on how the clients perceive Break? Like, do you think it's an advantage when you're marketing your studio? Like, people, okay, we have 4 different locations across Europe, so you get better clients for that.
Mm, I'm not sure. Maybe it's part of the marketing. It sounds better that we are positioning ourselves not as a Hungarian studio. Um, to be honest, the Starhita clients get used to this in the last decade, that they working with international, different studios, not local ones, especially like also they working with other Eastern European studios. So I don't think there is any like prejudgment on this, even if they know we are Hungarians. I could say like many of them are not really interested if we are Hungarians or from London or whatever. Actually, sometimes they are surprised that, oh, you are here in London, and we said, I know we are in Budapest. Oh, really? Oh, that's pretty good. So there is not too much negative judgment around this anymore. At the beginning, there was some because it was a unusual stuff. For I can tell you, like
Yeah.
uh, years ago, but nowadays it's not really. All of these studios, even the American ones, Gensler or SOM, they are all the way all around the world working with these studios. So
Yeah, I was
they
going to
are
ask you about the North Americans, as how they
no, it's fine.
perceive Europe, because I've been seeing a lot of videos on YouTube of American people like being surprised by how different, and I'm going to say different in the lack of a better word, Europe is from the US. And
Mm.
sometimes it boils down to the fact that Americans don't actually know a lot of stuff about all the other countries. Of course, no one can know everything about all countries, right? It's not
Mm.
feasible to ask that. But they act very surprised that, okay, so there's this country I didn't know about and stuff like that. So I was wondering if the American market was a little more judgmental on the fact that you guys are from Eastern European country.
Maybe some of the clients at the beginning, but don't forget, like this whole archviz became so international and internationally kind of standard that you work all around the globe. And these studios also started to do more international competition, not just local ones. So they became also super international. So I think it was, I didn't feel that. And I didn't feel too much judgment. I understand that, like mostly we targeted these bigger architect offices who are anyway international offices. They, let's say they are like the top of this food chain, who are get used to work with all kind of people. So for them, it was, it was probably fine. And I mean, it never felt that, which was really good. Maybe if we would have like gone to, I don't know, like this really local residential
Hmm.
developer who are just developing something in middle of Texas, and yeah, we would have felt that, but not really here. And also it helped us that, for example, right now in the sales team, we have from the 6 people, 3 of them are Americans. So
Oh.
here in Budapest, living in Budapest, so that gives us a little advantage.
Yeah, it probably does. And speaking of America, uh, we've seen a lot of bad news coming from the country because of Trump's tariffs, right? Tariffs, better yet.
Mm.
Right, he's like raising the tariffs to everything, and people don't actually understand that, at least at this point, how they will be affected by these tariffs. Uh, do you think there's going to be an effect on business with American companies for you guys or for any archviz studios at that?
I think yes, absolutely, and it's already doing it.
Really?
Because okay, let's not forget, because this tariff topic is on the table basically all the, like as soon as Trump became Trump again and became president, this uncertainty increased on the market, on the whole market, and and uh, and tariff is just one of the elements of this. And unfortunately, we see from January a certain quite strong uncertainty in the market with the projects, with the clients. So I think the minimum what we can expect right now is that this growth, what we always saw in our quiz, that it's growing, it's gonna be on hold for a while. I'm 100% sure in that. We're already seeing the signs of this. So like just I think people are not necessarily connect this together, but it's quite easy. Like, like, oh yeah, but tariff is just for products. Yeah, but come on, like if you destroying the whole global chain of the free economy and everything, then everything is affected.
Yeah.
And just a really easy example. If we're working with an American developer who is building office buildings, what they using steel to build up those buildings. Steel coming from Canada. I'm not a big expert in the US economy, but I know that, by the way. And as far as I know, the plan is to have, or already it's in active, that really 25% on steel, meaning that most probably that's a quite big impact on that development. So at least it's going to be put on hold for a while until they figure out that how they're going to get back that margin, but they lose probably completely on that development. Um, just an example of like, yeah, from product to us, it's really a short path to follow this logic. But if you follow uh, differently, that uh, just ignore the tariffs. What's the consequence of that? Just simply that this is happening now, and actually it's happening from January already. It makes the whole market uncertain, and uncertainty is terrible for investments. So stock market is uncertain. Investments are uncertain. Investments ending up in the hand of the developers who are developing the buildings. But if the investment is uncertain, then the development of the building is uncertain. The development of the building is,
it's a ripple effect.
it's a ripple effect, and it's ending up immediately on our table that projects on hold, uncertain, cancelled. Let's wait for 2 months. How is it? It's really easy, and it has immediate effect. So, and we see it in brick as well. I'm not saying that we are in a huge trouble, but definitely similar situation and vibes what we had with at the beginning of the COVID era. Maybe not that dramatic yet, but
Yeah, maybe people are underestimating the effects of this tariff war that Trump is fighting against the rest of the world. And while you were explaining the chain of events that end up with developments being canceled and stuff, we can go even further. For example, like you mentioned, steel being exported by Canada to the US, and now it's 25%. So it's more expensive. So people will probably stop buying from Canada, and then they will look to other, suppliers, for example. And then I can bring Brazil into the conversation because we export a lot of steel to the US. And then if we start exporting more steel to the US because our tariff is 10% and not 25%, it has an impact on the local market, because then the companies will be selling, it will be more profitable to sell their stuff to the US market instead of selling it globally, which means that the real estate industry here in Brazil will probably have an impact because of that.
Yeah.
So it's like it's a butterfly effect, really. Like if the butterfly flaps its wings, like it rains in Budapest.
Absolutely. And, Ricardo, I think I think I had this conversation with someone yesterday as well, that I think it's not really hard to understand and anticipate what's the consequence of it. There is two effects here. One, uncertainty, nothing to do with tariffs. If the guy continue to behave like this, and there is Putin as well, and there is Russia as well, the market will do this. There is this effect that you can do this for a while, and after that you're gonna destroy that material. And that's the global economy as well. It can take it because stock market can survive it, and you can see how bunch back for a while, and after that money will go out or disappear. And if money is disappeared, then we can end up what happened in 2008. So that's one thing. And then the second one, what's the consequence of the tariffs? We don't know if it's going to be like this or different. I think nobody knows, even Trump.
Especially
he doesn't
Trump.
know. No idea, I can tell you that. We played this little game, like how they came up with, putting tariffs on an uninhabited island where only penguins. Like he was maybe in the bathroom, like taking a piss, and it's like, how about if we make like a tariff for this country? And like, it's a good idea, let's do that. Something like that.
I can picture that.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's gonna be amazing.
Yeah, laughing at this, and then like maybe it's literally happened. Yeah, so here the challenge, that the problem that if it remains like this, and there is no like 108%, U-turn from this, or it's an atom bomb. Just we don't realize that it's actually dropped. Trump pushed the red button, and it's a nuclear apocalypse in the economy. That's what happened, but nobody realizing it. And if it remains like this, and I don't want to, make this whole podcast so negative. I really hope it won't be, but if it remains like this, that's a third world war in the economy, and the consequence of that will be similar as a, I don't know, a world war now. We just don't realize it. That maybe I'm a pessimistic guy here. I just, yeah, I'm like that now.
Well, sometimes it's better to be pessimistic than to
Yeah,
be caught up by surprise by
yeah.
bad things that happen. I think that's part of doing businesses. Now, one thing that I wanted to ask you about, just to make this conversation a little lighter now.
Yeah,
Uh,
sorry.
yeah, let's bring this up a bit
The hot
because
topic
it
now.
was
So,
too eerie,
but
right?
you can cut out this, and then that's it. Then it's light.
Yeah, but I wanted you to talk about D2 because we
Hmm.
have a new version of D2
Hmm.
happening, and can you tell us something about that?
Okay, first of all, and that's my first mission because, uh, of course, in a way, I was a little bit involved in this because of obviously Jason is working in Brick as the chief uh, guy, and therefore he's part of Brick as well. And by the way, he's also founder of D2 and organizer of D2. But we just want to make it clear that uh, Brick is not trying to be much involved, and the idea behind D2 is what was originally. It's an independent brand. It's an independent uh, organization, and right now, I personally have, if I can, to Jason to bring it to Budapest. The reason why it's in Budapest because Jason is here now more often, so it's much easier to organize here. And again, we can maybe save some costs, good refreshment, and these kind of things. But to be honest, maybe I don't want to talk about it because I don't want to, like kind of emphasize or show this that it's, like in any way, Brick is like an organizer behind it or
Hmm.
anything like that. No, we are not. And that's we agreed, and I I absolutely support that idea that D2 should remain D2 as an independent something, and Brick is happy to have, as we did before, as a friend of D2.
Uh-huh.
Um, and that's it. And that's happened with other because I remember D2 was last year organizing a small event in Cluj-Napoca as well. And in that case, beyond visual, it's a local Romanian small studio was organizing the whole event. Um, so it's fine. And yeah, but the plan right now with D2 that it's going to be in Budapest. That's Jason's plan to do. I think he's planning to announce it really soon, and you can buy tickets and everything, and it's going to be a little bit refreshed version of D2. The concept is go back to the original idea of D2 with maybe a little bit smaller event, and just have fun and meet each other and drink and talk and yeah.
But you know what? I think it's a good thing that you're saying this uh, because there was some uncertainty regarding D2 in the past months, right?
Mm,
So I think
mm,
it's a good opportunity to clarify things, to make
mm.
people understand what's going to, how it's going to happen, that it's not a Brick event, it's still D2 and all the things. I think it's
Yeah, then I
always
can tell
better
you,
to.
D2 is happening. D2 is in Budapest, nothing to do with Brick, but we are helping as other companies also have D2 earlier in different places. There was also an event in Brazil, and someone else helped
Yes, with elephant skin. Yeah.
with elephant skin. So it's happening. Same story. D2 is an independent something, nothing to do with Brick. But of course, we're going to have to organize this as it happened before with other companies. That's it, and it's happening in Budapest. That's the
No,
last
but
information.
that's really cool. Uh, to finish up our conversation, I wanted to ask you, uh, in light of the recent events, in light of everything that's happened before, how do you see Brick in the next 5 years?
Hmm, tricky question.
Yeah, I do
Uh,
that sometimes. Yeah.
no, I think uh, to answer this. It's harder and harder to answer this question, I think, and it's nothing to do with break or these events. It's just I always telling this to everyone that we are the children of technological singularity, and the impact of this technological improvements are bigger and bigger, and one of the effect of this that it's really hard to predict, you know, how, what's going to happen or how it's going to affect our industry, therefore how brick going to grow or not grow or do this or do that. I think telling a 5 years vision is today is, if someone telling you that, it's just a dream or a vision. And I can tell you that yes, we would like to continue to do our quiz and be on top of this game. If it's possible, continue to grow, working with the architects. And we would like to continue this, expand in other industries, what we're already doing. So we're doing some projects from the media and entertainment industry. We're doing some product visualization as well nowadays. So we're working with Google. So if I turn on, can I turn on the virtual background here?
Sure.
Uh, so, okay, for example, yeah, this was made by us, and yeah, something like that. And then now, these visualization done for Google, and of course it's architecture visualization, but like this virtual, whatever. So I'm not considering them as a part of the archviz work. Still, most of them are architecture related. Um, now let me explain you the impact of AI. Okay, it's a nice presentation here. So this is done, and I think we delivered, and we're still delivering a bunch of these backgrounds. Uh, really a good win-win collaboration with Google. And now I click on generate background. It's in Google Meets, and I choose a professional office style, and I write here, let's say New York. That's the prompt, and then create sample, and it's generate. Google Meets is generating now. It takes 20 seconds to make it. I'm sorry, a little bit rendering time. I'm doing the
We won't escape rendering times anytime
uh,
soon. Really.
yes, and then here it is.
Wow.
Okay, so that's the problem. You know what I mean? Like, shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
what,
It does
what
look
is
good.
my prediction? Like, how long we gonna do virtual backgrounds for Google for 2,000 euro or whatever? It's already here.
Yeah. Yeah. I can see that.
So
But
it's so to answer to that question, what's going to happen in 5 years? No idea, and that's okay.
but you know what? It's this is something that I keep, you know,
Sorry, I'm
asking
turning off because
myself.
I'm getting frustrating. Sees this background.
But this is something I keep asking myself all the time. Like, what's going to happen with AI and not let's not even talk about AI because there's a lot of things going on nowadays and changes and stuff. And I can't see a clear path moving forward, to be honest, because I have this feeling that people have no idea what to do with AI. So they're
That's
just,
completely.
shooting in every direction. Like, okay, we can create backgrounds. Cool, let's create backgrounds. We can create Studio Ghibli uh, pictures. Okay, let's create. But there's not like people don't actually know what to do with that technology. And I think that people are going to get frustrated over this technology because they will end up realizing that it's not like doing what they thought it would do. For example, you just generated a cool background, right? But you had no control over the brand of the headphones that were on the table. You didn't have control over the color of the chairs that were placed there, and the distribution of the chairs, and things that we know, and specifically talking about archviz, that we know our clients are always so picky about. Like, we
Mm.
need control, and I think that there will be this point, this turning point, where it's, okay, I'm not using AI anymore, at least not to create the image, maybe as a post-production tool or whatever, but I'm not creating images with AI because I have so much work making this image look the way I want and the way my client wants, that it's easier to just, open 3D Max and start modeling and, placing furniture, and that'll be it.
I think let me translate because I fully agree with you, but let me translate this to maybe more complicated way. That I think the only thing what you can grab here is what is your added value, and what you explained is the control, is the your know-how, that you can serve the client, you understand, you can translate the client need, and you can help them to sell their design, communicate their stuff, understanding in a way as a human being, and give them an experience. And I think it's really important, because if you translate this is connected to, there is a technology part, how you create that image. I guarantee you that's a really easy discussion, it's worth nothing really quickly. So if your job today is being a rendering artist, and you have to put the model, what you receive, and you have to put the sun and change the sky color, you are fucked, I guarantee you. I guarantee that. But if you're really looking for, what is your added value, and let's say your clients are paying for you because you're really good understanding their needs and giving them a design communication service. And part of the story, by the way, that you do that rendering, which is a side story, and nobody gonna pay for that. That's your added value, and that's nothing to do with AI. Even if AI can be super good, if you can give experience, and also the process is also a service, experience that they have making the decision. There is someone who can trust on the other side, who understand the complexity of this.
That's solving your problem, right?
Yes, and you focus on that, your added value, and not the technological part. That's, I think, what has to remain there for a while. But who knows?
Yeah, I think we have seen this, not we specifically, but humankind has seen this happening over time, again and again and again. Industrial revolution, the introduction of the internet, computers, and stuff like that. So everything's changing constantly, and maybe people are just not fully aware that this is something that will happen, whether they like it or not.
Already happening. I think the only challenge is how quickly. So there is this exponential speed which is happening. So when you look at the industrial revolution, or you look at like how the computers, the digitalization boomed, and then you can look at like a period of 10 years or 20 years. It's shorter and shorter. So the technology is actually exponentially developing, and the consequence of that the change is also happening exponentially quicker and quicker. So what took us like 10 years, that things are changed dramatically, now it's just 1 year or 2 years. And I think just a really nice example, what I really like in brick, and it's really touchable how quickly this is changing, that I think brick, it was in the last, I would say 6-7 years, we were always trying with top of the game to make a consistent quality. And even images from 3-4 years ago, we could use it as a reference because of this consistent quality. And right now, what we saw as a tendency that these periods, why an image looks okay, is really shortened. So in the old days, we could use images from 5 years ago, 6 years ago, 7 years ago. Today, we're throwing out images from 2 years ago because the quality is not anymore there. Not just the styling, but the quality as well overall. So the speed of changes and quality and demand is really exponentially quickly growing. And yeah, we only using really not more than 2 years old images on everywhere because as a reference, because the others are really outdated. And a couple of years ago, we used easily a 5 years old image.
Yeah, and I think part of the reason things are moving so fast is that like 10 years ago, we would have to wait for a tool to be ready for production, right? For example, if you had like a new DCC, a new 3D software, it would be launched after 2, 3, 4 years of development and stuff like that. And nowadays, you have beta versions of everything, like all the time with Stable Diffusion and things like that. You have like this unfinished that are readily available to everyone. So people start using it before it was even ready to be used. Like we every update we see to Midjourney or to ChatGPT or Gemini, it's like, okay, we have a new update, and like crazy after it. So that I think that's part of the reason why things are moving so fast, because we are not waiting for things to mature. We're just going for it, and I think that's a dangerous path, to be honest.
It's challenging, but you cannot change it because you heard about Moore's law. Yeah, where basically this guy said, I think he was one of the founder of Intel, so we know what he talks about, that he made this exponential curve, like how the how much calculation you can get for one constant dollar, and how much you can get like during the years. And this is actually on an exponential curve. So as you go forward, everything will speed up because of the improvement of the chips and everything. And a little bit related to this, so everything is connected. And actually, this Moore's law is actually can be translated to this technological singularity. What I thought, that all of these developments are exponentially speeding up because the technology and the digitalization as well is doing that. And that's Moore's law. You can Google it.
It's been around for ages now, right? We've been aware of that law since, like, I don't know, 30 years ago. So it's no news. Yeah. But you know what? I have a theory, and I'll give you an example of what I think is going to happen. The whole AI thing is that if you remember back in the 90s, we had increasingly smaller cell phones. Do you remember that? We started with those bricks, literal bricks, heavy and cumbersome and stuff, and then they started to shrink. And then I remember there was one from by Motorola, I think it was the MicroTech. It was this. It was just too small. And then people started to realize that having such a small form factor was not feasible. Like, there wasn't much you could do with such a small, a small tablet, right? So smartphones came in and they started to grow. And now we have this huge screens in our pockets.
Ta-da!
Yeah, like that.
somebody is compensating, like I have double skill.
Yeah. but the thing is that I think that with AI, it's going to be pretty much the same. Like, people are so eager to use it, and okay, let's do more, until it gets to a point where we don't have really to do with it, because like everyone else is doing it, and then we need something different, and we need kind of service that you mentioned. We need that one guy who tells us what works or what doesn't, and how to go the unbeaten path in a certain way. Like, okay, so everybody's doing this kind of visualization, let's do the opposite.
My favorite quote to this is, if everybody is an artist, nobody is an artist.
Yes, that's it. I think that we will get to a point where people will start to feel that, not realize that, but feel that, to walk away from all this AI craze, and AI will become another tool, just like, Radiosity back in the day when it was introduced in Studio Viz 4, right? Yeah,
I remember.
Right? So it was right after the death of Lightscape, and like, okay, you can bounce light. Oh my God! So
yeah,
I don't like 1,000 Omni lights to pretend that light's bouncing. Then, oh my God, this is the end.
Yeah, I remember.
Anyone will be able to do great visualization after this, and that's not what happened, because
no, not happened.
Right?
Yeah.
That happens with every new technology, and I think that it will happen at a certain extent to AI as well. But I have no idea where or when the my microphone died, but I just wanted to thank you for being here once again. It was a really, really nice chat. I had a lot of fun talking to you as usual. Now I can say that it's as usual. And,
as usual. Yeah.
And I guess I'll be seeing you in Poland this year again.
Hopefully, yes. Or maybe on D2 in Budapest, if you would like to come. You are officially invited.
Thank you. I just have to convince my wife.
And now Jason's gonna be angry of me because I shouldn't invite anyone because I'm not allowed. But
I'm just going for the booze.
You will be the official VIP of Brick, and then it's fine. So
I appreciate that, really. So
again, really,
András,
thanks for the nice talk. I really had fun. It was really entertaining, to be honest. Yeah. So I hope you can cut the boring part out and just make it funny.
Yeah. I'll do some editing magic here, so people don't get bored of us, right?
Yeah.
All right. So, man, thank you. And for you guys that are watching us, thank you so much for bearing with us this whole time. And stay tuned for a new episode of the CGarchitect Podcast. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss a video from CGarchitect. So, see you in the next one.
I will do that because I'm not following.
Oh, come on, man.